this is part 2. So if you're just finding this video, there is a part 1 to my testimony of how God cured and healed my Lyme disease and like 18 running medical conditions. So please go make sure you go back to my channel playlist and find that video part 1 first. So part 2. So where were we? So God spoke to me and basically said, like, let me be your sugar daddy. Like God was like, what I gathered from that was like, let me take care of you. And while everything in my life is collapsing, okay? Let me make sure this is off. Okay, we're good. So I'm like faced with impossible circumstances right now at this point in my life in this testimony. I am in the thick of it. Like I am in a mess. And I didn't even create it, because some people create their own mess. This was a byproduct of like my medical conditions. Everything was falling apart because I couldn't take care of myself because it was that bad. And, you know, basically from that point, I'm still in the midst of this. Like the pressure, when I talk like a horse sweating in church, I'm sorry, I don't know what that phrase is, or whatever it is. It's like, isn't there like a saying like a horse sweating in church or something like that, right? Like, that's probably a bad analogy, whatever, we're gonna go with it. I was like sweating under the pressure, like the pressure that was on my life, because I was ready to accept that I was about to be homeless in Vegas on the hot streets with medical conditions. Like I was accepting. My prayer to God was said, God, I was surrendering. I was accepting that I was about to be homeless because that is what it looked like. And I said, God, if you'll please just get me a moving truck so I can put my things in it, and I'll figure out the rest. That was literally my prayer. Like, please don't let me be homeless on the street. So all this is unfolding, and I'm already like 3 months late on my rent, about to be fully evicted. And in the midst of this, like, I'm just sitting here. I don't know what to do. God starts talking to me to get online and start telling people. And I'm like to ask for help, right? And that's embarrassing. You know, like I've always been good on my own 2 feet, but I understood that I was in a moment and a season that I'm not okay and I need help. And I don't have immediate family and friends to call. I had nobody. And God kept nudging me. And thankfully, I did have an acquaintance in Vegas. They actually helped me set up a website, didn't even ask. And they actually even helped me with my GoFundMe and kind of like share my story of why I'm raising this money, why I need this. And it didn't raise a significant amount of money, but it did help sustain me for certain things. And then as that's happening, I'm still having medical flare-ups at home by myself, no one to call. Scary, like scary. I didn't know if I was gonna live through these flare-up episodes I'm having, and I'm having to go through this alone. No one to hold my hand, no one to hug me, no one to comfort me, no one to support me, by myself. I'd have to sit there, and I would turn on Joel Osteen and listen to his healing messages. Marissa Peer, I'd watch this on YouTube. Every night I'd listen with these like healing meditations playing, because I just knew that I would be cured. I'm like, you know what? I'd almost went into cardiac arrest on multiple occasions because of how this affected my heart, my liver, my organs. 2-3 weeks at a time, I could not sleep. The second I dozed off, I'm like waking up feeling like, you know, one of those like bouncy bridges at kids' parks where they like, that's what it felt like was happening inside of my head, my nervous system. Like I couldn't even sleep. I was exhausted. But because of the infections that were in my body, had literally hijacked my brain. The thoughts I was having I felt like I was living in hell. I thought I was under like demonic possession. I didn't even have control over my mind. So I'm still having like, you know, and I'm okay. And then I have some flare-ups, and I had a really bad flare-up one night by myself. I'm having dinner, and I had the neighbor's number. And we had never spoke. I had lived there for a few years. Her and I had never really spoke. And something just told me to call her, because I couldn't call an ambulance. I was at ER visits all the time. Hospital, ER visits all the time. They couldn't do anything for me unless I was dying. I didn't want to go there. I just needed comfort. was having a really bad, scary episode, and I called her. It was like 10 at night, and I'm like, I am so sorry to do this. I don't know if you're aware, I have medical conditions. I'm having a really bad flare-up. Is there any way you could come over with and like sit with me? And she did not hesitate. She said, honey, I will be right over. I wasn't expecting that. And when she came in, she just sat with me, and I was just crying, and she just leaned. And right before this, I needed, please let me share this the right way, God. I was sitting at my table. I was crying and praying to God. I just need a hug. I just need a hug. I just wanted a human touch. Comfort. And I had prayed this to God while I was having this medical episode flare up. And when I called her and she said that, and she came over and she sat with me, and I was just crying. And she just leaned over and gave me the biggest hug, and she just held me. And I just broke down. I was crying, but like, because that's what I needed. And she just kind of sat with me through it. And as it subsided and I started feeling better, she was probably there maybe an hour or so. And I felt bad because I know she's a mom. She has kids. We never really talked. Like, we don't really know each other. I'm still in the middle of my own. I'm still trying to consider like her life. Like, it sounds like she's tired. She's had a long day, but she's like, no, I felt like a burden. I didn't want to be a burden to anyone else. It felt like my burden to bear. And right when she was leaving, she said, I'm not really a hugger, but God told me to hug you. And I could not believe it because I had just prayed. You cannot tell me God is, I will never question if God is real or God's existence. And I said, I told her, I like broke down. I was crying and I said, what? I was like, right before you came over, I literally prayed to God that I just needed a hug. I just needed someone to hold me. And she hugged me again. And I kind of just opened up what I was going through because I was drowning. And I had no idea what God was getting ready to do. So she just kind of stayed in touch. I don't know how much I can do. If there's anything, if you need water, if you need food, like, she's offering the help that she can. And in the midst, I had someone else who was helping me with the GoFundMe and a website. And God was pushing me to like push it out there. And I was like, ugh. I wouldn't say pride and ego, but it's embarrassing, Like I've had these big dreams and goals. No one really knew how bad this was. Like, not even, like, I had more of acquaintances. I didn't really have friends, and none of these people, acquaintances I knew in Vegas, knew how bad it was. The only person who knew how bad it was and got to see firsthand was my ex, and this motherfucker still did me how he did me, but that's okay, because guess what? When he was leaving me on Valentine's Day, he was smug about it, and while he's leaving me for another woman, and was like, I deserve better. Well, guess what, bitch? You can't go where I'm going because I deserve better. So how's that taste, baby? Yeah, baby, how's that feel, huh? Now that the tables turned, because them motherfucking tables always turn, and God said, do not touch my anointed. And you were warned. Multiple. God gave you ample chances, motherfucker. And I even told you, enjoy your karma. God even revealed that. Oh, that's a whole nother thing. God literally even revealed to me this man's karma. I wasn't even thinking about it. This was in the midst of all of this crazy stuff going on, you guys. Thank you for letting me not forget that, God. I pulled up to a few lights right around from my house. At this time, I've always, like a cat, I've landed on my feet, even in the midst of this. So I was in an industry I wasn't supposed to be in. I was making some quick money. I did end up getting myself a rental car. I was waiting for my Tesla to be delivered. That all felt, God was shutting everything down in Vegas. Let me just tell you that. And I pulled up to this light a few blocks around from my place, and God showed me this deep, like, vision, revelation, and I stopped and I cried. God showed me my ex with his hands, his face in his hands, crying his eye. I could feel his pain. I could feel his regret. I could feel his remorse. And I literally sat and I cried for him, even after the pain he had just caused me, without a reason, or there was no way to justify how fucking disgusting him and his entire family were to me. While I was going through a suffering of my own, he made sure to dump heaps of coals, hot amber coals on me while I was already drowning. Hey, help. Oh, here, bitch, take some of this. I'm gonna fart and shit on that because I deserve better, bitch. Like, this is how he was treating me. And God revealed to me his karma, his pain that he would be living with the rest of his life. Because he was just touched by an earth angel, and you did that to God's anointed? And there was no rhyme, no reason, no way to excuse or justify your behaviors, your betrayal, your backstab. But guess what? God uses all things for his good, all things for his glory. And God said, do not touch my anointed. You fucked up. You fucked up. Ooh, you fucked up, homie. Yikes, that was gonna burn. Shit, don't let that shit burn you. You better get some motherfucking preparation. Is it preparation H? Ooh, because guess what? A hard head makes a soft ass, baby. You didn't have much to begin with, so, you know. But, anyways, where were we? So all that's happening, and as God's pushing me to share openly on social media about what's happening behind the scenes, the GoFundMe's up and going, my website, and like what's really going on in my life, you know? I hated it, but I was like pushing out there. Little did I know that as God was making me do this, he was about to reconnect me with a friend from my past, from a crazy situation. Me and her hadn't spoken 7 or 8 years. And this was an old best friend who we were in that's a story for another time. Her and I were best. This was my sister, my best friend. I loved this girl so much. We were in a very interesting, unique situation together that I had to escape and get out of. And by doing so, it was like a death. And I had to leave her behind because once again, God was calling me in a different direction. And because of who she was connected with, I wasn't able to talk to her. And because of what I had just left, the amount of control that we had over us, I was not allowed to talk to her. And little did I know that she was creeping. She even told me this, and she was creeping on my social medias and was like, Tiva's going through something. So God's already working, put on her heart and the other person that was connected. Some things had shifted, and it just literally, I didn't even know that this is happening behind the scenes. That's why God's pushing me to put it out on social media. There was a reason. And at the time, I was praying for God to show me a cure, because I'm still having flare-ups in the midst, and this is only in like a 30-day time span that all of this is happening. Or let's say 2-3 months time span that like all of this is happening. But when things really started, like right before the big breakthrough, right before my Moses Red Sea moment, that God did the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. I am crying in bed. I'm crying my eyes out. And I said, God, please, please, please show me the doctor that can cure me. That can cure me. And you have to understand at this point, I was so sick for so many years. I had spent 10, 15 hours a day endlessly searching for the cure or anyone who had cured it. I wasn't finding anything. And I had looked into something before, fasting for Lyme disease, and all the experts and specialists that were like, no, that's dangerous. Don't do that. I'm like, but why? Like, something kept leading me to it. And this very night, right before my big breakthrough, my Moses Red Sea moment, I prayed that to God, and I, for some reason, picked up my phone, tears in my eyes, can't even see. I went to YouTube and I Googled fasting for Lyme disease. Baby, God answered my prayers. And I immediately sat up. I couldn't even see, and I knew what was happening in my spirit. And I was like, I have goosebumps. I was like, oh my God, God just answered my prayers. I found a woman. It was a 10 or 12 minute little video of this woman, Michelle B. Slatter, doing an interview, talking about how she cured and beat Lyme disease with this Russian dry fast doctor through dry fasting. She was so excited. She had written a book about it. It was on Amazon. I saw my ex's card. It's the least you could do, asshole. I ordered it on his card because I had no money at the time. And her book came to my house. I read it in like 3 days. I felt every emotion possible you could think of. And it brought me so much reassurance because it's so much what I was going through. And I hadn't known anyone else gone through what I'd gone through. And it was so reassuring, reaffirming. And I'm not kidding you. I read that book in like 3 days. I held it in the kitchen and I said, God, if this was you answering my prayers, you have to make a way for me. Remember, I'm in an impossible, praise God, I was in an impossible situation, an impossible circumstance, losing everything in Vegas, medical conditions, no help, everything collapsing in on me. There's no way I'm about to go to Europe to go work with this Russian doctor from Siberia. And I said, God, if this was you answering my prayers, you have to make a way for me. And if you make a way for me, I'm going to dedicate my promise to you, God, is that I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to helping other people be cured from this incurable disease. I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to helping other people. I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to telling my testimony and what you did for me. I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to helping be the answer to other people's prayers to end their unnecessary suffering. And little did I have any idea how God was about to come through. Woo! That friend I was talking about, we hadn't spoken in years. Well, I want to say this first. That happened. Okay. I'm in the kitchen praying. Things are just going every day, doing my best. I started preparing to go to Europe. I don't know how to explain it. I just started preparing. The lifestyle, I was trying fasting on my own. I was researching everything about them on my own. I had actually had a little money from right before God pulled me out, $250 to actually book a virtual consultation then with this doctor in Europe, this Russian dry fast expert doctor, Dr. Filanov. And in the meantime, I had a friend in Vegas. I tried to open up to her about what was happening, and she was such an asshole to me. And she was really nasty, and it was heartbreaking. Well, I'm already going through this. No one can fucking help me or support me. Like, I'm not asking for $1 million. I'm just like, hey, this is what's really going on in my life. I haven't been open about it. I'm sharing. I need help. It's like everyone was like, ew, go away. Ew, you're gross. Like, that's how I felt like everyone was treating me. So her and this friend in Vegas, we went through a breakup. And as I'm sitting there crying, like, can I just have one friend, God? Don't know why. I go to Facebook. I do not ever open my Facebook messages, especially from people I don't know. So I get plenty of them. I'm like sitting there crying, heartbreaking. I'm like, I'm already going through it. Can I get a fucking break? And I open this message and it's this random girl and she sends me a picture of me and my old best friend. And I'm like, why is she who the fuck is this girl? Why did she send me a picture of me and my old best friend in Dallas that I had to leave, that I haven't spoke to in 7 or 8 years? Here comes the setup. God was setting it up. And I click on the picture. I've still got tears in my eyes and I'm like clicking on it. And I'm like, I'm reading, it takes me straight to my ex-best friend's page. And she's like, you know, time between us and pride and ego. It's a shame it had to come between us. And prior to this, God was working. When I was even with that ex-boyfriend, he was even telling me, is there anyone you missed from your past? I'm like, yeah, probably my best friend, Kaylin. And he's like, well, why don't you call her? And I'm like, I thought I'm the last person she'd ever want to speak to. But God was already working. And someone even else was telling me, like, why don't you reach out to, like, so behind the scenes, God was already like trying to reconnect me and her. And basically in that moment, I didn't even think. Something came over me and said, just call her. Oh, don't let me forget this either. As that was happening, okay, that girl sent me the message. And this is where I think, God, I didn't forget to share this. Okay, so as I open that message, I'm like, what the fuck? And I read it and I'm like, what is going on? And then I go open my emails to my GoFundMe, because my GoFundMe, when people were donating, I went to my email. I then open my email. I see my old best friend's name had made a donation to my GoFundMe, and someone else that her and I had a falling out of because they had both, we're in a really unique circumstance when I had to leave her, a very unhealthy one, when God was calling me out of it. And I saw both of them donate to my GoFundMe. And then I saw that post of her like, you know, I wish things would have been different. Time and space has kept us apart, pride and ego. And I'm like, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. When I'm called, I obey. And I just knew in that I was like crying, sobbing. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, there was so much divine intervention every way I'm turning. Like, and like, literally, God reconnects me and this best friend. I pick up the phone, I call her. And I wasn't even expecting her to answer. I just knew in that moment, just call her. And I call her. And I hear her voice. And I'm like, she's like, Tiva. And I'm like, Kaylin. And I just fucking lost it. I just lost it. And little did I know, God was reconnecting us. I had no idea that in a day, and like less than 24 hours, I was going to be served an eviction notice where if I didn't have everything out, everything was going to be confiscated. And her and I talked that night for hours. We get on the phone the next day. As her and I are about to get off the phone, the lady comes to my front door. I have my door open and she's like, what? And I'm on the phone still. She's like, you got 7 days to get out of here. And she's like, well, how much is it? Like, so from that point, she was literally helping me bypass being fully evicted, helped me buy groceries that I needed, literally told me on the phone, hey, we're gonna get you out to Europe to go work with this doctor to get your medical treatment. You're gonna come to my house. All your bills your food's gonna be covered. I'm gonna get you out of Vegas. We're gonna pack everything. I'm gonna get you movers. In one clean sweep, when I got off the phone with her, I fell to my knees. I fell to my knees and I cried my eyes out and I couldn't even catch my breath. I couldn't even believe what God was just doing. I could not believe what was happening. In one clean swoop, my storage was about to be lost. My phone was about to be turned off. I was about to be fully evicted. And in one clean swoop, God said, nah, not my baby. I got other plans. And I always knew that I was going through was preparation, because God revealed to me it was never about me. It was about everyone connected to my mission, my purpose, and my destiny, that I was supposed to help heal, help get their health and life back, and prove to them that through faith and fasting, nothing is incurable. And I wholeheartedly, God, there's so much more into this. So in one clean swoop, my storage is saved, my phone is saved, I have groceries, I'm not about to be evicted. I got something to my landlord to just hold her over so I could have enough time to pack. Me and God reconnected me and this old best friend. He used her as an instrument to help me in one clean swoop, got me movers, got me moved all the way back to Texas. I was in her home. I was literally sitting there preparing for this fast. She was helping me the best she could. She was helping me scrape pennies so we could get me out to Europe to get this treatment. In one clean swoop, I had a Moses Red Sea moment. I fell to my knees in my kitchen in Vegas, like gasping for air because I could not believe what God had just done and made a way out of no way and impossible circumstances. And you have to understand that even for the Israelites and Moses, when God opened and parted the Red Seas, and that was their initiating to the promised land. And I am somewhere in that in-between right now where I know that God opened the Red Seas. I'm in an in-between, and God made a